This week's episode of Between Two Bridges, part 2. I'm in the hot seat this week.
Fucking nailed it. Look, he even puts his hands up for you. He even goes like, it's all good, dude. Yeah, good job. Way boy.
Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. This episode is presented by Wash. Visit the new convenient pickup and drop-off location at 21 Brilliant Avenue in Aspinwall, or click pickupwashdeliver.com and see how easy it can be to do the wash. This episode is also brought to you by One Tom Plumber. Fast, reliable, affordable, 24/7 plumbing and drain cleaning services throughout the Pittsburgh area. Save this number, 412-307-7622.
All right, so we promised part 2. Here's part 2, right?
Here we go.
So part
I'm on
2,
the hot seat now.
I'm in the tan chair for the first time. Very uncomfortable. No wonder you're so miserable during the podcast.
No, I think I'm very happy and jovial.
Jovial.
I happen to like that chair.
You know what I miss? I miss printers, man. I wish we could have printed these questions out so I could have some papers.
We're sitting in an office that has...
I looked for an air printer, didn't find me one. It's not tax season.
You're not on the Wi-Fi.
I don't even know the Wi-Fi. There's Wi-Fi here?
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi here, bud.
For days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so last episode, we kind of showcased what I got going on and you know, trying to get the word out about my business. And, you know, that's what these things are for. That's what business podcasts are for. It's for advice, exposure. You know, we've had some business owners on here. Hopefully they reap some exposure. I mean, look what Russ Flips Whips did with his career after he left here.
Just because of us.
Yeah, I mean, some will say...
We accomplished some great things.
Yeah,
we got lights at the field.
Yeah, we did.
We did. So. We got Russ Flips Whips. We made his career. Definitely the slice of New York, Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
He's crushing it.
Second location.
He's fucking crushing it. I take credit for all of it.
Yeah, the only one that really blundered was the CEO of Spirit Airlines.
Yeah, it didn't work out for him.
Yeah. So we've talked about your business. Quite a bit on here, you know?
Yeah.
But we're going to get into the weeds of it, I guess,
all
now
right.
you're going to say.
Hopefully I don't make a fool of myself, and hopefully I have a business after
We'll start. We'll give you a softball here.
Okay.
How did Landmark Business start?
Well, when I graduated college, during college I worked at Circuit City, blast from the past, name from the past. I did in-home installs for computers and home theater systems.
Zero Wi-Fi back then. There was Wi-Fi.
I hooked up some routers.
Okay.
But I made pretty good money for a college kid. I mean, I was in college working full-time, making $45,000 a year. I got scheduled overtime every week, like making good money. And I finished college with an accounting degree and started looking at jobs in my field and realized, I'm going to have to take a pay cut. So my first job, I worked at Ariba in their accounts payable department, just a software company downtown, and I made $30,000 a year. So I took like a $15K pay cut.
But you had a big boy job
to get into my field. Not to mention I have to now take the bus downtown every day. And yeah, it was, so that's when I had that rude awakening of not only do I have to take a $15,000 haircut here, those student loans are coming due quick. Because yes, I made good money in college, but no, I was stupid and borrowed every dime to go to school. Didn't pay for anything. I just wasted my money on going out and having a good time. So it's one of those, if I knew then what I know now, boy, would I have done things differently, but I didn't. So I ended up starting to work downtown, and because I couldn't really afford to take that haircut, I worked part-time at Circuit City and then I worked full-time downtown. That didn't last very long because it just got to be too much.
Yeah, burning that candle at both ends like that.
Yeah, because then the days that I'm working evenings at Circuit City, I'm literally leaving town, getting on a bus to Monroeville. And then, it was just, it caused some issues. So it got to a point where I couldn't do both and keep the people at Circuit City happy because they wanted me for more hours, but I had to work downtown. It was just too much. So I quit that job, started working at Ariba, but started doing some tax returns and some bookkeeping on the side. And I met a gentleman that had an established firm out of his house in Oakmont. And he was actually a retired teacher that whenever he was still teaching, he was doing tax returns part-time. And then he retired and started doing it full-time. But he worked out of his basement. But his basement wasn't like your typical like finished basement.
Pittsburgh
it
potty.
was like an office. Like he had like it was legit. And he had a pretty good business for himself. I mean, he was making good money, had a lot of clients. And I met with him and he asked me, I was doing some book work for a mutual client of ours. I was doing the book work and then giving it to him to do the taxes. And he asked me the one meeting, he said, you doing tax returns? And I said, yeah, I have a handful of clients. He said, well, why don't you work here? And I'll refer, because I'm trying to get out of this, within a certain number of years. So new clients, I'll just send them to you. And then I'll start giving you some of my clients. And then eventually you can buy me out. So that's what we did. I actually went to his house every day. Whenever I wasn't working, I would go to his house and do taxes. And it expanded from there where, the first year I did, 100 returns. And next year I did 200 returns. It started to grow. Ariba, and then eventually I left Ariba and went to Ketchum, the marketing agency, worked in their accounting department. And then around 2012, I was married, but no kids. And the way Ketchum, I was only at Ketchum for about 9 months. And I kind of made a mistake going there. I don't regret going there. I learned a lot. But the mistake that I made was that the way Ketchum operated in their accounting department, if you were in any sort of finance department, on a quarter end, you worked a lot of hours. We would work in an 80-hour, 90-hour week, which I never minded that. When they asked me, can you do that? I'm like, yeah, I don't shit. But then once like January came, I started to realize like, oh shit, April 15th is right on that quarter end. Whenever we're going to be working crazy hours here, it's also going to be the last 2 weeks of tax season. I can't be both places.
Right.
And the tax business had grown pretty substantially by then. So I knew that I had to make a choice. I was either going to have to stop my business or I was going to have to go full time. So in February of 2012, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing in this little 2-bedroom apartment in Oakmont with my new wife and standing in the kitchen. And I said, hey, we need to talk. I think I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. And at the time I was making like $45,000 a year at Ketchum. I had a retirement account, health benefits. And I was talking about walking away from all of it to just go all in on Landmark. And I had figured out that all I needed to do that year from my business was to make $18,000. That was my break even. That's all I needed because we had no expenses. And that way, my wife, she's always been super supportive. And she said, if it's time, it's time. Because that's always what I intended to do. I wanted to own my own business.
Oh, there goes that question, and that question.
Yeah. So I went in the next day, told my boss I'm putting in my 2 weeks. He said, what? To do what? Where are you going? And I said, well, I have my own accounting business. I'm just going to do that. And they thought I was insane. But I did it. And that first year I made $36,000.
Do you think they thought you were insane, or do you somewhat think they subconsciously were like envious of you?
I think there may have been some of that because I was walking away and they, when you're in that corporate world, right. I don't know that anybody really enjoys working in a corporate life. I hated it.
It's a false sense of security for people.
Yeah, that's why I always crack up whenever somebody tells me, well, I need the job security. Job security. You only have one person paying you.
Right.
I have 2,000. Like,
Right.
I'm good. So yeah, but whenever I started Landmark, I was trying to, it was not your typical, I never wanted to be your typical accounting firm.
Don't put the cart before the horse here. We'll get there.
All right.
Let's not go all the way to the end with the first question.
What's your next question?
Let's start. We know where we started. You know, we got to that point. Now we're at the beginning. Okay. So you said you made the $36,000 and that's great. And you made your 18 grand. So you double what you needed to make. What were some of the early struggles in that? Because the money, even though there's money, it doesn't mean there wasn't struggles.
Oh yeah. There's definitely struggles. At that stage of the game, I was the only person working. It was a one-man show.
Okay, so he had retired. He was gone.
Well, no, he was. So I worked with Ray, the other gentleman, but he was always separate. Okay, so I shared that office space with him, but I had my business and he had his.
Okay.
So he would refer us work, but he was never involved in my actual business.
Okay.
I was completely independent. But if I had work to do, I was the only one to do it, right? And if I needed to do the work, I was there doing work. I also needed to be the sales and marketing division, right? You had to do it all. So back then, the main goal was you got to grow. I gotta grow because I have a lifestyle that I need to be able to get to. I don't want to make $36,000 a year forever. So one of the biggest struggles was learning how to be a full-time business owner and be all the hats and go out there and network all while still doing all the work on the back end and handling all that. But that was probably one of the biggest struggles getting started, was trying to be everything.
So, I mean, we're going to go back to you did make the money. Now, what was one of the biggest, at that beginning phase was the breakthrough, the aha moment where you were like, all right, I do wear all the hats and I do got this. Was there a client that you could landed or?
Well, yeah. So there's two parts to that question. So the moment that I realized oh yeah, I got this, I made this, I'm gonna be okay, was while I was at Ketchum, I took advantage of a tuition reimbursement program that they had. So they would pay $5,000 toward tuition if you went back to school or did something like that. And I did that. I started taking some classes and they gave me whatever it was, $5,000. But when I quit, I wasn't there long enough for it to be
dissolved.
Yeah, forgiven. So I had to pay it back. So I left in February of 2012 and I had 30 days to write them a check for $5,000. And you can imagine, I know I need to make 18 grand. That wasn't in the budget. So, thankfully it was tax season. So I hit it hard and just ramped it up as fast as I could. And thankfully, because of that extra money that we doubled, I was able to, within that 30 days, write them a check out of my account, to pay it back. And it was probably one of the most fulfilling moments of my early career when I was able to because when they told me I owed that, the first thing that popped in my head was, how the fuck am I going to do that? Where am I going to get this $5,000 to pay this back? And within that 30 days, I had done it to a point where I was comfortable just stroking that check. And writing that check, signing that check, and mailing that to them was
Did you send them a business check?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Which, looking back, was not exactly the most responsible thing to do for my corporation, was to write a check to do that. But I did, just because I wanted it to have my business name on the check. But don't worry, I'm not commingling money. I did reimburse the business for my personal expense there. But yeah, no, it was very satisfying to write them a business check out of my business account for the full amount, and it didn't bounce. But
not yet.
Early in my career, probably around that time, I don't know exactly when it happened, but I met, and I forget where you know what? There was another accounting firm, another gentleman, another accountant that had another small firm that I met, and I started buying up his clients. And one of his clients owned several fast food franchises. And I was very green, but it started out, I would just do monthly accounting and give him financial statements. But around that time, he ramped up and he bought up a handful of new locations, and he needed me to do more. So we actually, I was engaged to not only do his books, but we paid his bills. I wrote all his checks, and then we'd meet once a week and he'd come sign the checks. So I became his accounts payable department. I became almost like a CFO almost. And that ramped up revenue fast because he was, he paid me and I learned a lot from him. As you know, I have a lot of clients in the restaurant space now. A lot of what I know about the restaurant industry, I learned from him. Percentages of revenue, labor percentages, food cost percentages. I learned a lot from him. But I became very involved in his business, and that definitely helped ramp up revenue so that I could continue on.
Okay, so from the beginning of time and in that era that you kind of answered it there, I was going to ask what lessons that you learned then that are still in play now. So, I mean, obviously the margin stuff for restaurants helps.
Yeah. So because of him, I have a huge amount of restaurant knowledge, more than I wish I had. I always think it's funny whenever I have somebody that comes to me and goes, I think I want to buy a restaurant, or I want to open a bar. And I'm like, please don't. Like, don't do it. It's a very, very, very hard business. Everybody sees the front end.
Yeah.
They go to the restaurant, they see the fun part. They don't see the kitchen.
There's a lot of shows that glorify owning a restaurant too.
Yeah, it is really, the margins are very thin. Employees are rough, just so hard. And customers are quite possibly just as bad as the employees.
Yeah, restaurant's great business except for the customers and the employee.
Yeah, you turn a lot of, there's a lot of churn with employees. The ones that are good are great. They're huge assets, but there are some that are just brutal. And it's a really hard industry, and you don't make a lot of money. I've said it a million times. The only way to make money in the restaurant space is to own many of them. Because then you get buying power, and it's a hard business. So I learned a lot from that. I also was involved with real estate, a lot of real estate investors early on, which has been a nice thing for me, because not only do I have a huge number of real estate related clients, whether they're real estate agents or investors or contractors, but I've learned so much that I've been able to enter the space. So now I have some rental properties, and I even tried my hand at owning a management company, which I learned is not a fun business either. But
we'll leave management and manufacturing to someone else, I guess.
Yeah. Early on, I was able to be involved with some real estate investors that I got to learn a lot from as well.
Okay. So let's stick with the accounting theme here. What are some of the things that are like outdated practices that you just no longer believe in your sector there?
So I think there's a big difference between different accounting firms. There's old school guys. There's so many, dude. There's so many ways to answer this question. So first of all, I will say that I think that accounting is an art, not a science. I think that phrase probably makes some CPAs skin crawl. They believe that there is a yes or no answer to most questions. And I believe that it's more similar to an attorney, in which the answer isn't, is it yes or no? It is more, can I argue that to the IRS and get it approved? We have made some decisions in the past on how to handle certain things on a tax return or on financial statements that I've had to explain to an IRS agent or an auditor or an underwriter at a bank. And most of the time, I can convince them that the way we did it was the right way. Every once in a while, they go, I don't buy it, and we lose. But the majority of the time, I can argue it. So it's an art. The other thing that I think is outdated practice, and it drives me crazy when I'm trying to land a new client, is that everybody defaults to, well, what's your hourly rate? I think hourly rates are stupid. I still have to have one. I still bill by hour because that's the way you have to do it. But my hourly rates are probably, so for example, I'm not a CPA. I'm an enrolled agent. I'm being an enrolled agent. I'm basically registered with the IRS. I had to take classes and take tests and
continue.
I have to do continuing education and all that kind of stuff. But it gives me the ability to practice in front of the IRS. So if you get audited, I can have you sign a form and I can represent you in front of the IRS without you there. I can call the IRS on your behalf. I can negotiate a payment plan on your behalf. I can do almost everything that a CPA can do. The only thing I can't do is an audit or a financial review. But to my clients, if I'm doing your accounting, I can't audit your books anyway. I'd be auditing my own work. So for my customer base, that's not really important. I can't go out there and sell auditing services. I'm not really interested in that work anyway. So really, there's nothing, not being a CPA, that holds me back. But I would say, as far as my hourly rate goes, I'm probably on the high end of a non-CPA. But I think that it's a silly way to measure what the costs are going to be when you're dealing with an accountant. Because if you have an accountant that's charging you $150 an hour, but it takes them twice as long to do something and then it's all fucked up anyway, I would rather pay me $225 an hour. It's going to take me less time. I'm going to be able to get it done and it's going to be right. So it's a silly way to compare two firms. I've taken a lot of clients from large firms, large CPA firms, and have dealt with complete trash work, insane overbilling. And, so there's no way, I think that using an hourly rate to compare two accountants is a really stupid, antiquated way to compare it, because you're not comparing apples to apples.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's a trust factor when you're doing hourly rate, something like that, because it's not like you're building something on my house where I can watch you and be like, you were there 8 hours today.
Right. So who's to say that I spent 5 hours working on your shit today? And I can tell you, like, I'm working on with a client right now, and we took over his account at the end of 2025, and he was with a pretty large firm in Pittsburgh, a pretty well-respected firm in Pittsburgh, and his books were complete dog shit. Just absolutely atrocious. They were way behind. They had way overstated revenue because they weren't doing the books correctly. They weren't even consistently booking expenses, where at least if you had one vendor and you always booked it wrong, it would be always wrong. But there were vendors that they were booking sometimes in this account, sometimes in this account. It was like things were all messed up, and it was coming from a very well-respected CPA firm. It was so bad that we had to resort to creating a whole new QuickBooks account and starting from scratch and starting over again, because it was so bad that it would have taken me more time to clean up the crap that was in there than it was to just start fresh.
Yeah, it's a shame, but they have big buildings, man. Yeah,
and big initials after their name,
right?
And they think they can get away with it, but this particular client, he's grossing, it's not a huge company. He's grossing $700,000-800,000 a year, and was spending $20,000 to $25,000 a year in this accountant, and getting shit back.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So,
and you see it. I mean, with your business, you see it because you see everything. You know what I mean?
And the bottom line, my hourly rate is, I think, higher than what that CPA charges, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I'm actually charging him less per month because I'm not spending the time that they allegedly were spending doing his stuff. And I can't imagine that they were actually spending that much time. Huh. It was that bad.
So you went to school for accounting.
I did.
You got into accounting. You started an accounting firm, kind of. Mm-hmm. What? At what point did your mind switch from, I don't want to just be an accountant?
Yeah, so I started to say earlier, Landmark Business Solutions was never intended to be just an accounting firm. When I try to explain this to people, I say that my background is finance and accounting, but my passion is business. I always intended Landmark Business Solutions to be kind of this one-stop shop ecosystem for business owners, whether you're just starting or whether you're or up and running. I wanted it to be able, my vision was that I would sit down with the client at a conference room table, and I could help them with their accounting and taxes, their payroll, marketing, legal, credit card processing. Like, I wanted to do all of it. I wanted to create this ecosystem. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I can't do the legal. But my thought was, I want to have a relationship with a really good attorney that I can refer work to. And he kind of becomes sort of the in-house counsel that gets all the work from Landmark. I wanted to have a marketing division so that I could help people spread the word about their business. I wanted to be able to do payroll for their employees and help them get staff up. I wanted to try to build like this puzzle of everything a business owner needs to start and run their company. That's why it's Landmark Business Solutions and not Landmark Accounting Services.
Okay, so now we're cooking, because whenever someone asks me, like, or I say my accountant to someone, I always feel like I'm selling you short. You know what I mean? Because like, you're more than just my accountant personally, but like in business, you guys, I mean, if you pick up the phone and call Landmark, you could pretty much get it handled, or you got a guy, right? Mm-hmm. You could be called I Got a Guy Solutions. Right? Yeah. So now that you've been in it now, what, 20 years?
So I've been doing accounting since 2007. That's when I started it as a side business. Landmark was officially incorporated in 2010. So yeah, it's been, I think this last tax season was my 19th tax season.
Oh, getting old, dude.
Yeah, and it's weird because, we've had this conversation before. We still feel like kids, but then, and when you're starting out, you have that like confidence factor where you're like, I don't know if I have the experience. And I'm like, wait, I've been doing this a long freaking time. Yeah. I've seen a lot of shit and been through a lot of shit. And, fortunately, I've become kind of a professional in the field. I know how to handle this shit. And if I don't, I have somebody that will.
And now a brief word from our sponsors. You've got a full plate. Kids, meetings, workouts, side hustles. There's better things to do than laundry. Introducing Wash, laundry reimagined for the modern world. Schedule your pickup in seconds via the convenient web app. Wash picks up your clothes, cleans with care, and brings them back fresh and ready to wear. But it's more than garments. From bedding and table linens to shoes, hats, purses, and more. Wash handles all your life's fabric, leaving you more time for life. Visit pickupwashdeliver.com to see how convenient it can be to do the wash. This episode is also presented by One Tom Plumber. At One Tom Plumber, in-house licensed plumbers bring rapid response and expert solutions straight to your home or business. Whether it's an emergency or routine plumbing service, they're your one call 24/7 to clear the problem and restore comfort. Trusted across Pittsburgh and surrounding communities with transparent pricing, respectful service, and true reliability. Save this number for when you need it most. 412-307-7622. That's 412-307-7622. Or visit BetweenTwoBridgesPodcast.com/support. And now, back to the show.
So in your industry, in today's world, what do you think matters more? Expertise, speed, branding, or accessibility?
As somebody in my field,
Yeah. Don't ask me to repeat those.
accountability.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say that that's probably the only one of those things that matters.
Yeah.
As far as speed goes, you don't want to drag things out to a point where clients get frustrated. So speed matters a little bit, but there's no such thing as an accounting emergency. If you owe the IRS money, it takes a long freaking time for them to come knocking on your door, if they ever do. They send letters, and then they give you 30 days to respond. So speed, deadlines are important, but not necessarily speed. When you treat your customers right, when you're accountable, customers will continue to come. People, especially during tax time, they talk. So if you have a good reputation, the business will come. And I think I have a little bit of a different perspective on branding than most probably accounting firms. And I go by, we've talked about it on the podcast before, the whole Gary V method, jab, 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 right hook. So when I see somebody on social media that's asking a question related to taxes or accounting, I answer it. I answer it fully. I answer it thoroughly and legally, and free, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to then be like, all right, where can I send you the bill for this? Some accountants think that we need to gatekeep this information, and I think that's silly. But when you put value out, clients come. I've experienced that. And then the other one that you said, what was the other one you said?
Now you're going to ask me. Speed, branding, accessibility, or expertise?
I said accountability, and that was not even one of the things. None of those things. Accountability.
That's on brand, though.
Yeah. So the most important thing in this business is, in my opinion, is accountability. None of those things. Because if expertise, no accountant, CPA, 20 years experience, 30 years experience knows everything. The IRS code changes every year, sometimes multiple times a year, and we can't possibly know all of it. There's also software that we buy that handles a lot of this stuff. So when people ask me off the cuff, hey, what's the standard deduction this year? I don't know. I don't need to know.
Right.
The software does that. And there are so many nuanced, complicated tax codes that you don't need to know everything. You need to know how to find the answer to everything. That's how you get the expertise.
Well, I guess that leads into this. So what part or how much of your business do you think will be automated, like moving forward the next 3 to 5 years?
A lot. So I get that question 100,000 times every year during tax season. And I think a lot of people say it like in this joking way. How long before AI replaces you and does all these tax returns for you? And I jokingly say back, hopefully soon. But I think that we are on the cusp. We're already there in a lot of regards. But I think we're on the cusp of AI doing a lot of this work. Now, I think the way it's probably going to roll out, and what the hell do I know, is that I think that these tools are going to be more easily available for firms to use to automate their processes before they're available and easy to do from a consumer side. So I don't see AI probably in the next 3 years anyway, replacing tax preparers. I think that there are already tools out there, and we're flat out honest, researching and learning how to implement them here to automate a lot of the tasks that we do, whether it be bookkeeping or tax preparation and things like that. And I think any accounting firm that isn't looking at that kind of stuff is irresponsible, because you can get way more done quicker, more accurately by doing it that way. And then you can have your staff, and I'm not looking to downsize my staff because of it. I'm looking at it as that I never want to have the point where my clients are dealing with some AI bot. I want my clients dealing with my staff. I want to take the monotonous, busy work off my staff and figure out a way to get AI to take some of that over so that my staff can focus on review work and client relations. That's, I think, the more imminent thing with automation.
And you as a business owner, you're comfortable with allowing AI to take a driver's seat inside your business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a hard question to ask, because we've been talking about, like, me and you have been bouncing back and forth with it. And I think that if you're not doing what you're doing, you're going to get left in the dust.
Yeah, I think that any business owners that's not seriously looking at AI tools right now and how to implement them within their business, or if you're an employee working some W-2 job, if you're not looking at ways that you can have AI create some sort of side hustle for you, I think that's crazy. I think it's wild what it's capable of doing. It's not that hard to learn and understand, and I think it's important.
It's funny. I'm just going to go off of topic here, because when you said that about a W-2 job, I had a friend, her brother worked for Heinz, and his job was to do something with, like, the labels in the summer and to kind of pull a quantity count. This was like 20 years ago. Well, he wrote a computer program to do it, and he did it on day 2 of his summer internship and gave them the thing, and they paid him for the summer, and he never went back to work. But he was a rocket scientist, you know what I mean? He was very intelligent, and now we're all getting up to his speed, now with.
Right. And I think that's what we have here is that you can, and I think there's stories out there where people are getting jobs in these big corporations that are monotonous, task heavy, data entry jobs. And if you know a little bit about AI, you can train an AI agent to do a lot of these jobs and then
get a couple $30,000 jobs a year and you're good.
Hell yeah. And especially if these companies are still work from home after COVID, you could have a handful of these jobs with just AI bots doing all the work and you're just sitting at home. It must be nice.
Now, so you meet with your client. Well, you didn't sit with your clients this year, but you have a pulse on clients. Do you feel that the clients that you have here at Landmark are acceptable to this future of AI? Or you think that they're like, oh, that robot can stay away from my tax return?
No, I don't think. I think that most people in that sense know that kind of thing is coming. I think that just like most clients would not appreciate if I called them and said, hey, I just hired this girl in the Philippines. She's going to be handling all this stuff. They'd be like, what? They don't want to deal with it directly.
Right.
If it's helping me be more efficient, quicker, less expensive, because we're able to get stuff done, and instead of paying, my staff $175 an hour, AI did it in freaking 5 minutes, and then my staff reviewed it. Now it's a cost savings for the client. I think that as long as we are able to implement it in a responsible way, because there's obviously some secure data here, right?
Right.
We have people, very sensitive information. If we're able to implement these tools in a secure way where people's information is not getting leaked into the dark web, I don't really see many clients batting an eye at that.
Right. I think what I was saying in part one was like, you have a brick and mortar here, and that means the world to people.
Yep.
You know, if you don't have this and you're just at home on a mega computer, you're going to lose some clients. But I think as long as you have this, somewhere they can go and drop off some information or talk to someone.
Yeah.
That's always, I think we're not going to phase out human interaction in our lifetime. I'm not saying that it won't ever not be phased out, that it'll be small pieces of human interaction. Who knows? That'll be for our kids to worry about.
Yeah, I think clients like to be able to call and ask a question. I mean, there's AI voice and AI chatbots that can answer almost every question. But I think I just saw a study that showed that like 70% of the world has never even signed into an AI tool.
That's insane.
And the percentage of people that have used it in a way that they're doing any sort of coding or any sort of like heavy AI is like 0.04%. We are a ways away from this mass adoption where everybody's just all on board for AI. Now, AI is developing so quickly, you know, are we 3 years away from it, 5 years away from it, 10 years away from it? I don't know. What I do know is that if you're not right now actively pursuing what it can do, in 5 years, you're probably going to be about 20 years behind.
I just compared it to the internet. That's the way I look at it, is like people that didn't want to deal with, like, I'm not going on the internet. You know, if you didn't have dial-up in your house growing up, you were getting left behind and didn't know it.
Yeah.
You know,
and now that everybody has literally high-speed internet in a supercomputer in their pocket. Yeah, exactly.
We talked before we started shooting that, like I talk about it like it's the secret sauce. You know what I mean? Like I'll give just enough in a conversation, but I don't want.
You don't let it all out of the bag. Although, I mean, if you're looking at it, my way of looking at it is, do I want to scream it from the rooftops? And I said this to Nate before. You know, I'm torn because, you know, I've put up these videos, these daily content videos and like that. And I want to talk about it. And I know those videos will do well. But I also don't really want to talk about it because I don't know that I want to put it all out there. Although people are putting it all over the internet, and there's still the vast majority of the world still isn't doing it.
Yeah, if I owned a drag car, it would be farm truck because I want to be the sleeper, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like I've talked to my friends about it, and a lot of my conversation with my friends is like, listen, you need to go on there and start talking to it and figure out something to do because, like I said, in 5 years, if you've not done anything with it, you're probably 20 years behind the eight ball.
100%. You know, we talked about it with our kids. Like, my kids are young, your kids are young, but like, I feel like I want to start teaching them.
Me too. I just talked to Vinny about it, and I'm like, what do you know about it? And he's like, I don't know. I've messed with ChatGPT. I mean, I guess his math teacher actually introduced him to ChatGPT at school.
Yeah.
And was like showing them how it works and how to use it. And so he's like, I don't know, I messed with ChatGPT a little bit. And I'm like, listen, you need to learn it, understand it, obsess over this.
Yeah.
Watch videos on YouTube about it because you're always on YouTube anyway. Watch videos about what you can do with AI because you're going to be 12 years old, but you could literally sit down at a computer and spend a couple weeks working with some AI tool and build a business that makes $10,000 a month.
Yeah. Right.
Money that could like change your life. And you need to learn this and understand it. And he's looking at me like, that's the most money I've ever seen. And I'm like, but it's so obtainable.
So funny because my daughter loves to like cut out shit. Like she makes like, she's really good at like crafting, you know? Mm-hmm. And like everybody's like, oh, she could be an engineer, you know? And I'm thinking, as we're talking here, I'm like, I need to like tell her to quit cutting shit with scissors and paper. Like that's archaic, dude. You're not even gonna know.
Get a laptop.
Yeah, you're not even gonna need scissors where you're going. You know? Like,
I literally was thinking this the other day. Like, I have some extra laptops here. I think I'm gonna give Vinny a laptop. Do I need to sign him up for the paid version of Claude, or should like what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, am I gonna pay for another subscription for Claude just for Vinny? So it's you got to get more involved in it.
So you and your business, Landmark Business Solutions, you deal with a lot of business owners.
A ton.
In your personal opinion, what separates operators from true business owners?
That's a hard question to answer.
Well, fucking answer it.
I think initially when you asked me that question, what popped in my head was the hustle, right? How hard they work. But it's not really a good answer to that question, because some of the people that I think that are operators, some of them are the hardest working people around. It's not a work ethic. It's a control issue. It's realizing that the idea that if I want it done right, I have to do it is not the way to do it. You have to teach your staff how to do it right. I also am a firm believer in staff autonomy, where I want them to feel comfortable and empowered to make a decision. I would rather that staff member make the right decision 80% of the time than me have to make the decision all the time.
I catch myself in that. Like, they'll make a mistake, and I won't even correct the mistake because I'm glad they made the mistake.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I get mad about it. It's just water over the bridge.
And the way to handle that is, okay,
next time.
I get it. Next time, here's how I think you should tweak it.
That's the best.
And then now they learn, and then next time maybe it's 90% right. And I'm good with that.
Right.
You know, I'm happy to clean up that 20%. But I don't want to have to be, when you're bombarded having to make every decision because your staff doesn't feel like they have the power, or they're afraid that you're going to be upset if they make the wrong decision, you will never be able to scale your business.
Correct.
You have to empower your staff.
Nice. I agree. I mean, I think that comes with age too, because like you can't do 80-hour weeks at work and then have any kind of quality life at home. You just can't. And the older you get, the more precious this time is, you know?
Yeah.
So sooner or later, our kids will be locked in a room with a laptop on AI coming out with who knows what is coming out the other end. All right. So we're getting close to the end here. The question says, what business trend will matter the most over the next 5 years? But I think we've
It's AI.
AI's it. And that's not just your business. That's
Every business.
So what is one business belief that is your core belief?
It's kind of a weird question, and I'm kind of having a hard time. But I think that in my experience, you know, been doing this for a while, and you hate to be prejudiced to a new client coming in and make a judgment call based on a first interaction or anything like that. But I've gotten to a point where I can sit with somebody and know this isn't going to work out. Not necessarily as a client, but as a business. Not saying that I know every business is going to work or not work, but it's not even necessarily the business, it's the person. When somebody comes and tells me that they're going to start a business and go out on their own because they want to have flexible hours and work when they want, that ain't going to work. Part of the reason why Landmark Business Solutions is business solutions is because my favorite people to deal with are business owners. Not that you can't have this personality as a W-2 employee, but I love the hustle. I love when somebody is always on. You know, that bad habit that I have and that you have when you're on vacation and you're driving your wife crazy because you're sitting there on your phone working, or you wake up before everybody else so you can get on a laptop and get some work done before everybody else wakes up when you're on the beach. it drives our wives crazy, but that's the hustle I love.
Yeah.
I love when I have that in common with that client. And that's what drives me. That's what makes businesses successful, is not when you're in the weeds doing the work, but you're always hustling, trying to figure out what's next. How do I grow? How do I solve this problem? How do I put this fire out? How do I make this customer happy? How do I make this employee happy? When you're a business owner and you're successful, or maybe you're not successful now, but you will be.
Yeah.
What all those people have in common is they have the hustle.
I just said something to someone the other day. I said, yeah, I might be in the weeds, but I'm in the weeds pulling the weeds. You know what I mean? So sooner or later, I'm going to run out of weeds.
Yeah.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
That's a good analogy.
All right. So hopefully people understand you a little bit more, but we're just going to go, I guess, 10 rapid fire questions.
10.
10.
Jeez, I didn't even think I gave you 10.
It was like 8.5.
Okay.
Biggest business mistake.
Biggest business mistake is not, and would be from an accounting and legal perspective, but people that will set up an LLC, treat it as a personal bank account, not keep separate, not keep good books, not pay attention to the numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business.
And the best investment you've ever made. You can say Amber.
She's not an investment.
She's not going to listen to this.
Actually, I think my building. When I moved to this building, it was a big risk because up until then, my entire career, even though it was in 3 separate locations, it was all within a mile of each other. This was, it's 15 minutes away from there, but it's across the river. It's up, it's a whole different neighborhood.
You said that a long time ago when you first started working with that gentleman. He said, like, don't do it because you need that time to clear your head.
Yeah. Moving here gives me that, where driving home, at least I have 15 minutes to kind of decompress before I go see my kids. So I'm not always bringing all that baggage home. But in addition to that, like, it's just a spectacular location. And
right.
We've had a lot of new clients come that were just like, yeah, I drive by here every day and I saw the building and thought, you guys do taxes? And we've had some heavy hitters walk through the door,
right.
Like heavy hitters, just because of the location. I mean, we're Fox Chapel School District. We're right on 910. So we get a lot of traffic by this building every day. And we're talking traffic from Fox Chapel and Hampton and Wexford and Cranberry. I mean, there's a lot of well-to-do people around here, so it's been a very good.
And it's easy to get to.
It is. It's we're minutes from 28. We're minutes from the Turnpike. It's very centrally located from a Pittsburgh standpoint.
All right, one thing every entrepreneur wastes too much time on.
Worrying about the 80%. Doing 80% of your work for 20% of your clients that are the most demanding and probably losing money on, but trying to deal with that needy customer that is just never going to be satisfied.
All right. What is the most underrated business skill?
Kindness. I think that the reason why I have so many clients and the reason why I have somebody for everything is about building relationships. And it's just because you're nice to people.
Right. One app or tool you use every day.
AI.
What scares you the most about AI?
Not learning it fast enough.
One habit that made the biggest difference in your success.
Leaning into technology. We spend a ton of money on software. We spend a ton of money on, we spend a ton of money on software. I spend a ton of time learning and researching everything from, CRMs, practice management tools, AI, anything that I can invest in technology-wise that will make my firm more attractive to a customer, and run more efficiently on a back end.
What's your best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs?
Don't believe what you hear on social media.
And success means what to you today?
I don't have any sort of aspirations to be have $100 million or $2 billion. I don't really care to ever be a billionaire. Yeah. I want to be at a point where if I want something, I can buy it. If I go out to eat with my family, I don't have to look at prices on a menu. If we want to go on vacation, we can go. I don't need a 20,000 square foot house. I don't want it. I want to have a comfortable life with my family. 10 million would be nice.
9.5.
Yeah, I'm good with that. But
isn't that funny how like that changes in your life? Like, what was important 20 years ago isn't important now. I mean,
anybody that's watched more than one episode of this knows that I have an obsession with cars, anything with wheels. I don't have any intent. I don't have any aspiration to have a private jet. I don't have, I spend money on cars, right? It's probably my worst habit. But I don't really want $1 million car.
Silly.
I just don't. I want to be able to drive it and enjoy it. And if I have $1 million car, I don't see how I would do that. Would I like to have a $150,000 car?
A couple of them, yeah, sure. Yeah. 10 of them.
But would I like to have a garage full of cars? That'd be cool. But I just want to have a comfortable life and never have to worry about money. If I want something to go buy it.
There's that weird moment in your life where you're like, I had a pretty good childhood. We weren't wealthy. I want to give my kids a better childhood. If that's all you do, then okay, you did it. Yeah. So, well, this was good, man. Hopefully people learn some shit about your business and utilize it, because I have since the beginning of time, and it's just good to talk about our businesses without like having to explain it all the time. You know what I mean? Like we get it. So I could have probably answered 10 of those questions for you.
I felt the same way about when I asked you your questions. I'm like, I know the answer.
Yeah. So
I know this.
But yeah, that's part 2. And we'll keep plugging them my way, man.
That's it.
So we're going to have AI on next week.
Yeah. We're just going to ask AI a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
That actually might not be a bad
Yeah. We don't want to know what AI thinks about us.
Oh.
I mean, Claude thinks I'm half stupid.
I think it thinks I have ADD.
I mean, I talk to it like a friend, at this point.
Yeah.
So
get your shit together, Claude.
Yeah. I actually interact with it like it's an employee. So it's fun.
Except it doesn't hurt its feelings whenever you have to,
No, and for what it did for me this week, it deserves a raise, and it's not getting one. So, all right, well, keep following along, and we'll keep talking about it. I think we definitely covered the bases. We talked about AI.
Yep.
We talked about COVID.
Social media.
Those are the 3 that are going to be on every episode from here until the end of time, probably.
Yeah.
So we're fortunate, man. We got people in our pocket that our predecessors never had,
That's right.
So, all right. Well, love you, bud.
Love you too, bud.
Fuck you, Nate.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. Visit our website for links to all the businesses we've showcased, additional content, and merch. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Till next time, make it till you rake it.
This week's episode of Between Two Bridges is part 2. Joe's in the hot seat. No, I'm in the hot seat.
Wait, I was in the hot seat. How many fucking times am I going to be in the hot seat?